2010. One evening I played, on a Saturday night, I played 3 hours of tennis, and 2 weeks later, a week and a half later, I was pretty much dead in the hospital because I had cancer all of a sudden, and I had an extreme amount of pain, and it came up very quickly. Couldn't walk. I was paralyzed from here down. Just in a few days it all happened. I had 4 months, a lot of chemotherapy, just laying in the bed, and I couldn't move my body, and I was very sick and in a lot of pain. And I told my wife back then, get my running shoes and go to the shop and buy me new ones. And I hanging up in Dutch they call that a papegaai, so I could look at the running shoes, and I was, thinking about I will be running again later. But things went very slowly, and after 4 months in the hospital with a lot of chemo, the cancer was gone, but I couldn't move anything. So then I
What did the doctors tell you? What did the doctors tell you?
I don't know. When the doctors came, I told them, you go in the hallway with my wife and you discuss. I don't want to hear it. So, because the news was always so negative, I wasn't interested. I didn't want to hear it. That's basically it. So after 4 months, they in an ambulance they brought me to the rehab center because I wasn't really able to sit in a chair or anything. And there, in the beginning, when I was there, when we had lunch or dinner, I was moved to the restaurant in a bed because I couldn't do anything really. I knew a bit about visualizations and things like that, and I had heard of Joe and his work a little bit, but yeah, it was in my mind, so I used that a lot to try to recover. After 8 months of being away from home, I was home again and tried to catch up my life again, but it was difficult. I was working hard all the time, tired all the time, and always working and struggling and working and struggling, trying to get some movements in my legs. Then I had quite a nice breakthrough at the rehab center. They didn't really give me any chances to recover, but there was one young therapist, and I kind of liked him. I thought, I need to be with this guy, because the other people, they pretty much gave me up and told me, yeah, you better go home and live with what you have. But this guy was different. He was young, and he was also a fighter and going for it, so I worked quite hard to get him as my trainer. Then in Holland, we do a lot about, try to collect a lot of money for cancer. And they have an event in France, the Alpe d'Huez, where they go up the mountain and that way collect money for the cancer. I saw someone from the rehab going up there with a handbike. And I saw that in 2011, and I thought, well, that's something for me. I'm going to do that next year. But I couldn't cycle at all. I couldn't even move my legs. But at that moment, I sent an email to that therapist I was talking about, that I had a vision and that I wanted to cycle that next year. But after that, I forgot about that because, in the real time, there was no real chance to do something like that. Then later on, things went a little bit better, and with a guy in my town, I started to cycle a little bit on a tandem. So you sit with 2 people on one bike. And We did 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and it went quite well. And then came into my mind, why can I not go with a tandem to cycle the Alpe? So I told that to my physiotherapist, and he said, well, that's a good idea. We're going to work on that. So I was really happy. So in 2012, we cycled the Alpe together all the way up. So that was a great thing for me, and a lot of inspiration to continue and get better.
So he didn't accept, believe, and surrender to the prognosis without any analysis, programming his autonomic nervous system into that destiny. He actually decided what he would accept, believe, and surrender to. And he made conscious choices along the way.
At first, it was a big fight and a struggle and a will. And
Whoa.
I'm not
Did
supposed
you
to
hear
say
that? No, I want you to hear that.
Okay.
He had to overcome himself, and he had to get greater than his body and his memory of himself in the past. Do you understand? And that is a struggle, but he has the type of persistence and determination. It's not in his character to not persevere. So the struggle to him is just something that he has to move through. And in the beginning, it requires a tremendous amount of awareness. Moment by moment, staying conscious and not returning back to his past. And if you're living in a body that's handicapped, you come back to it and you say, well, I'm still handicapped. It didn't work. But that's what this person living with their senses believes. The person who's divined by a vision every day is making a different choice, and they're moving through those little dimensions in the mirror towards a future. Every single day, he moves a little more. But in the beginning, it takes an effort to overcome yourself.
I did a lot of things with really hard work. I believed in myself, but I did it with really, really hard work. And there's a certain limit. And I grew up with, my family is not about loving and things like that. They do everything for me. But the word love, I haven't brought up with that word. And it's an important thing. And I'm learning about that. That's what I also learned about the lady who was healing me today. She says, all you need to do is love yourself. And that's what you need to work on and improve. Then you will walk and run. I know that, but that's new, and I'm learning that. I've been working on it for a couple of years already, but 10 years ago, it wasn't in my mind. I was purely a rational person and thought about everything I did. And it had to be perfect, and that's why nothing happened, you know. So there I'm making a big change, and it's, when you look at what Dr. Joe is teaching, it's very important. And that's helping me a lot. And also because that's for sure why things happened. I didn't feel anything. I needed to learn how to feel.
I've watched this man make great strides. When I met him, he had those crutches with the pole sticks. And
I broke my hand back then.
Yeah. And he fell, and he had difficulty walking, and but he did the work. And when it came time for him to mentally rehearse a future, he was in that future, walking and doing all the things, priming his brain and body to a destiny. And then all of a sudden he shows up, and he's walking differently. He's got more balance. He's got more control over his legs. And then, he shows up at another event, and we're teaching the walking meditation, and he's out there taking his time walking along. He didn't have to do it, but it's not in his character to be that way. It's in his character to gain more tools because he believes he's going to walk, and I believe he's going to walk normally. And so, as he begins to make those changes, his body begins to respond to his mind. And so over time now, he walks with these two little walking sticks instead of those cumbersome crutches with the poles and the wraparounds. And he's walking way differently than he was just a year ago. And he's walking differently than he was over 2 years ago. And if he keeps this journey going, he has a choice as he experiences greater levels of wholeness. Health is wholeness. Health is oneness. Health is a greater expression of the divine through you. That's what it is. So as he experiences greater levels of that intelligence that's giving him life through him, of course his nervous system is processing a greater frequency, a greater energy. And as his nervous system processes a greater energy, the nervous system controls and coordinates all those systems. So his whole body begins to raise its energy. And if all disease is a lowering of frequency and an incoherent message, he's writing the biological program. And by raising his frequency, his body is beginning to change on a consistent basis.